other day, I was sitting back playing Gran Turismo, and then I got a notification on my phone. 100 Game Nate dropped a nice video that sparked a light bulb in my mind. He said, "Is the FL5 the poor man's Porsche?" And it's funny because I was playing GT7, and I'm like, I'm driving a Porsche. And then I started thinking about my Camaro, and I'm like, nah, I need to do a spinoff on that. I think the SS1 Elite is more like a poor man's Porsche. So let's jump into that. Welcome back to the channel, and we're just gonna jump straight into this on why I feel this Camaro SS1 Elite trim is considered the poor man's Porsche to me. So I'm gonna give you guys like a quick 4 or 5 tips on what I think it should, why it's considered a poor man's Porsche in today's time. And we're just gonna jump with the first thing, and that is it's a manual transmission. Until 2019, when the A10 was offered, this Camaro trim level was only offered in the manual, just like the 2011 GT3 RS Porsche. And that's what I'm going to compare this to as of now, taking my mods out of it, like stock for stock out the box. This Camaro right there alone, when you think about that option alone, the very first tip, that puts it up there with a Porsche. Now, the second thing is both Porsche and the Camaro, they both rear wheel drive. The only difference between this and the Porsche is that the Porsche has a engine in the back, whereas the Camaro has the engine in the front. But if you look on paper, for them both being rear wheel drive, they are pretty much the same. So the Camaro out the box, what you get for $45,000, you get 455 horsepower, 455 torque. In the quarter mile, it does about 12.3, 12.5 stock. Also, 0 to 60 is about 4.2 seconds. Okay, so with that being said, that's pretty nice. You're saying that's pretty nice for GM coming out the box right there, and it is. But now we're going to jump into what is the Porsche 911 specs. The Porsche 911 specs is 450 horsepower, 317 torque, and it goes 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, and it does the quarter mile in 12.5 seconds. So on paper, this car is competing with the Porsche. Right now, it looks like this is the poor man's Porsche. The way it handles, the way it performs, the suspension on here, the way you can dial it in with the different modes. So that is point number 2, why I feel like this is more a poor man's Porsche. The second thing, when we get into that, what is the value? What is the value for the Porsche? When the Porsche came out, you know, Porsches are usually 150, 250K range. So let's say, okay, I waited, Anthony. What is the year I can get for a 2011? Still to this day, a 2011 Porsche 911 GT3 RS is still over $100,000, depending on the miles and so forth. This car out the box, brand new with the warranty, you can get this for 45K. Markup, probably get it for 50K. The gas mileage is the same between the two. That is very interesting. So that we're gonna lead that into my third point. And my third point is the curb weight. Now this is where the Porsche excels better than Camaro, and that is the curb weight. As it sits out the factory, the Porsche 911 GT3 curb weight is 3265. Interesting, right? It's lightweight. That's what you're paying for with that Porsche name, because with that lightweight, that cuts into the acceleration, you know, that makes it a quicker car and so forth. This Camaro out the factory, curb weight 3765, 3,765 pounds. And the crazy part about it is that is with the front seat and the back seat and on 20s. If I'm not mistaken, the Porsche 911 is on 19-inch wheels. So that saves some weight right there, and that also helped the Porsche accelerate faster. So with that being said, with those points that I have mentioned right there, is the Porsche better Or is this more considered as a poor man's Porsche that you can get from Chevrolet? This is like the best bang for buck in today's time. Now, for another video, when you mod this particular Camaro, I feel like once you mod it, go to the heads and cam level, this still is considered a poor man's Porsche, but now you done turn this car into from a 2011 911 GT3 to a 2022 Porsche GT3 RS, man. Because the horsepower in the head and cam car like this would be very similar, same manual transmission. Now the only difference is they stopped putting the manual transmission in the Porsche and they converted over to the PDK. Now what's great for this is starting 2019 and above, they put the 10-speed in there. So that'll be a pretty interesting comparison on how these cars do. And also, to wrap this video up, my very last point is the lap times. If you look at the lap times between this car and the Porsche 911, I mean, it is right there. This Camaro can perform with the Porsche 911 if GM did some very small things, such as instead of bringing 20s, put 19-inch wheels with a stickier tire, just how Porsche would do out the factory. And that would help with the acceleration time. And just that alone, which people don't believe tires make better lap times, just that alone right there, if GM dropped this car to 19s and put a stickier tire, I believe this car will compete lap for lap if Motor Trend did it again with the 911 GT3 RS. So like that, guys, that comes to the conclusion right now is I want to ask you guys this question. Do you guys believe this Camaro, based on what I listed for you guys, is the poor man's Porsche, or you feel like there's another alternative? So with that being said, that's going to wrap this video up. If you guys like this video, y'all know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.